Are you moving from a different state to Chattanooga? Well, let's hit 5 key points that you should consider when moving here and see if we can answer some of your questions. Hey, welcome back to the channel. My name is Junior and I'm a realtor here in Chattanooga. If you're considering moving to Chattanooga from a different state, we're going to hit on 5 key points that you should consider. Now, as much as I like to put out content and all this information, what I like more is to help people with their real estate needs. If you have any questions whatsoever, please feel free to reach out on the number on your screen, call or text anytime. I will get back to you and I look forward to helping you out. So before hitting the 5 key points that I think you should consider, I want to talk about renting versus purchasing a home when moving here. Now, the debate can go different ways, but I believe it's more important to purchase a house when moving here for many different reasons. One of the reasons is that in Chattanooga within the last year, houses have appreciated 14% year to date. So what that means is if you buy a house for $200,000 and you live in it for 1 year, you're gonna come out to $228,000 in appreciation within just the first year alone. Now, if you rent, you're not able to get that appreciation within the first year, and when you rent a house, you're really just kicking things down the road or kicking the can down the road. So 1 year can turn into 2 years to 3 years, and before you know it, you live here 5 years and you haven't even owned the home yet. So if you want to move here and purchase a house, I think it's smarter, better financially for yourself and your family if you have one, and that's really something to take into account. So the 5 key points that we're going to hit on today, it's really for purchasing a home when moving here. So the first point that I want to hit on today is visiting Chattanooga. So if you're moving here from a different state, I would highly suggest that you visit here first. And when doing so, I would reach out to an agent beforehand. That way, when you're here, they can schedule some showings just to see different houses in different areas and give you a vibe for different neighborhoods. That way, it'll help you pinpoint areas that you want to move into, and it'll give you realistic expectations of where you can afford, what areas you really do like, depending on how the vibe of the neighborhood is to you. Another reason why you want to visit Chattanooga first is after seeing neighborhoods and areas that you like, you can also visit those places early in the morning, in the afternoon, late at night to kind of see how it is after hours, because when you look at pictures online, it really only paints a small story of what it actually is to live in that area. So visiting in different hours of the day can kind of give you more of a better idea and understanding of how the neighborhood is and if it's to your liking. Point number 2, if you have been able to visit Chattanooga, or if you haven't, now is the time that you are going to talk to your agent based off the places that you've seen when you were here, or the places that you see online, or if you have friends in the area that tell you where you might like or not. This is when you start the discussion with your agent to start the home buying process. Now, obviously, it depends on your timeline. If you're going to move within, a month or two, it's a lot faster process as opposed to if you have 6 months to a year. But it'll give you kind of an idea of how it's going to work moving forward. So with an agent, what we can do is, being here, we can do showings for you through FaceTime or Zoom calls. We can go to actual properties and not only show you what the inside looks through a video, but we can also point things in the area that you can't see through pictures. Like if your neighbor has 10 junk cars out in front of their yard, or if next door there's a bunch of kids playing around, that's not what you're looking for. If across the street there's just trash everywhere in the neighborhood, is not as clean as the photos of the house that you're looking into. Those are the type of things that we can point out to, where you can't do that by yourself if you're just on Zillow or anywhere else looking up pictures. Now, if you're not able to, or you don't feel comfortable with purchasing something without actually being here first, and you're not able to visit, like in point number 1, what I would suggest is to find a short-term rental, something that you can rent month to month. That way when you're here, you can kind of get with an agent, see the area, see different homes in different neighborhoods, and you're here, but you're not locked into a lease like a long-term rental would be. Yes, you are going to pay a little bit more in rental, so instead of $1,500 you might pay $1,800 or $2,000, but what that does is it gives you the flexibility so that you can find something quickly and then move into that property, as opposed to waiting a year and then something happens financially or something in life happens and you're not able to buy a house. So that's something that if you do not feel comfortable with, which is totally fine, is getting a short-term rental, getting set up, and that way you don't have to, you can keep your things in storage. You don't have to move it into the house, a year later move out, and then move out of your rental and then move into another property. You can just move into the house, live there for a couple weeks, a month or two while you're searching, and then find a home and move everything into, and then really get into that equity, which I talked about earlier. You can really take advantage of that part of the equity with the houses growing so much in value over the years here in Chattanooga. Point number 4, this is for both if you can or you can't visit Chattanooga, and that's expectations. A lot of times I get calls from people saying, hey, I want a 5-bedroom house, 5-bedroom, 4-bath house. I want 2 acres and I want it close to downtown and my budget is $200,000. Now, 10 years ago, maybe that's realistic price, but nowadays with the prices increasing so much and such a high demand for Chattanooga, the median price here in Chattanooga is $237,000. And what that means is the prices are increasing year after year, like I talked about earlier, with 14% equity in just the last year alone. I believe that the prices are only going to keep going higher and higher as more people from out of state that have more money are going to come and buy houses here. So tampering your expectations with what you think you can afford is something that you need to take into account, and that's where an agent, a local agent in the area, can help you. When you reach out to an agent, you tell them your wants and your needs and your price point. They can kind of guide you and show you what you can afford in certain areas, and then that way when you come visit or you start looking online, you're not your expectations are set realistically to what you can afford, and then you'll be happier place, and it takes away a lot of the anxiety and stress when it comes down to thinking you can afford something when in reality you can't, just because everybody thinks it's super cheap here, which it is compared to other places, but the prices have been increasing a lot over the years. So expectations and tampering those expectations is very, very important when moving here. And the 5th and last point, something to take into account, is new builds. So if you visit here, or if you're not able to visit here, something you should consider are new builds. The reason why I say that is because they can work with your timeline. So if your timeline is 2 months to 6 months to a year, getting a new build will help lock in a house and a price. So if you're coming from California and your timeline is 6 months, you can actually either visit here or talk to an agent like myself, and we can get you in contact with a builder. And if you want to put a house on hold, you can do that with $5,000 down usually, and that will lock in the house, it will lock in the price. And then 6 months from now, when you actually move here, that's when you kind of close the contract, you get the loan process, and you do all that. So you're kind of kicking the can down the road to do all the loan, the mortgage, the lending part of it 6 months from now when you're actually ready to. And doing that takes a lot of the anxiety and the pressure away with trying to find something, and you're also going into a new build. The reason why that's good is because if you lock in the price today and 6 months from now it appreciates 5-7%, you move in 6 months from now, that 5 to 7% of appreciation, you move in getting money in appreciation in that home, if that makes sense. So that could be a very big benefit. And after moving in, it's a brand new house, so you're not gonna have any issues. If you don't fall in love with the area, 1 to 2 years after, which I would suggest 2 years, because that way you don't have to pay capital gains expense, you could sell the house. And then living in the area already, you can kind of find and see where you like more, and then you can kind of transition into that area. So new builds is definitely something to take into account. Of course, they start at a certain price range, so maybe not everybody could afford it, but if you can, that's something to take into account and to consider when trying to move here from a different state. So those are the 5 things I think you should consider or take into account when you're moving from a different state. If you have any more questions, you want to reach out, feel free to text or call the number on your screen, or hit me up through social media. Until next time, take care.